He was not just fighting classmates, he was wrestling with a system that taught them such cruelty. Teachers often dismissed incidents as boys being boys. Administrators avoided confrontation, fearing backlash from influential parents. His pain was minimized at every turn. Racism, he realized, was not just the bully's taunts. It was the silence of bystanders. It was the way authority figures brushed aside his complaints. It was the collective indifference that allowed cruelty to fester. One afternoon, during gym class, the humiliation reached a peak. Teams were being chosen for basketball. Predictably, he was picked last. When he finally held the ball, a bully deliberately tripped him. He fell hard, laughter exploding around the court. The coach glanced up but said nothing. The boy's cheeks burned, not from pain, but from the crushing weight of invisibility. That night, in his room, he trained harder than ever. Each kick carried the frustration of being unheard. Each punch released the sting of insults. Sweat soaked the floor, but his spirit grew sharper. He reminded himself, martial arts was not about revenge. It was about control. But control did not mean endless silence. The bullies sensed his quiet endurance as weakness, and like predators, they pressed further. They cornered him in hallways, ripped pages from his notebooks, mocked his heritage with exaggerated accents. They spread lies about his family, suggesting they did not belong. The cruelty became a performance, drawing laughter from peers who feared becoming victims themselves. Still, he endured. Not because he was incapable of defending himself, but because he knew timing mattered. His grandfather's words echoed, "The strongest strike is the one delivered at the right moment, not the fastest one, but patience has limits." And the breaking point arrived when the bullies escalated from insults to threats. One day after school, they surrounded him near the bike racks. Their leader shoved him, sneering that he should go back where he came from. The group laughed as they circled closer. The boy's hands tightened around his backpack straps. For a moment, fear threatened to overwhelm him. But then calm settled in, a calm born of training, of discipline, of knowing he was not helpless. The confrontation unfolded under a pale afternoon sky. The bullies jeered, their words dripping with venom. The leader lunged first, pushing him hard against the rack. But this time, the boy did not stumble. His stance shifted subtly, grounding him. When the next shove came, he moved with precision. A quick step aside, a controlled pivot, and the bully's own momentum sent him sprawling to the ground. Gasps erupted from the onlookers. The others hesitated, surprised by the sudden reversal. The leader scrambled up, rage twisting his face. He charged again, fists raised. The boy's movements were fluid, disciplined. He deflected the punch, redirected the force, and the bully crashed to the ground once more. This was not wild fighting, it was mastery. Every motion was efficient, deliberate, restrained. The crowd that had gathered grew silent. For the first time, the bullies looked uncertain. Their dominance cracked as they realized the boy was not the helpless victim they had imagined. Each attempt to strike him was met with calm precision. He did not retaliate with cruelty. He did not throw unnecessary blows. He only defended, controlled, disarmed. The leader's fury turned into desperation. He lunged recklessly, only to be disarmed and pinned effortlessly. The boy's eyes met his tormentors, calm, steady, unbroken. No words were spoken, yet the message was clear. Strength was not about cruelty. Power did not come from humiliation. The bullies staggered back, their arrogance shattered. The crowd whispered in awe. The boy released his grip, standing tall, composed. He had not sought revenge. He had claimed dignity, and in the days that followed, the story spread through the school like wildfire. The boy who had been mocked, excluded, and dismissed was suddenly seen in a new light. Whispers turned into respect, and respect into admiration. Some students approached him cautiously, seeking friendship. Others, who had once laughed at his humiliation, now looked at him with shame. The bullies avoided him, their dominance broken. But the lesson extended beyond them. Teachers who had once turned blind eyes began to recognize the quiet injustices in their classrooms. Administrators, pressured by the murmurs of students and parents, could no longer dismiss what had been happening. The boy's stand, though wordless, forced an entire system to confront its silence, yet victory was not about popularity. The boy did not crave applause. What mattered was the reclaiming of his dignity. He had shown that resilience could outlast cruelty, that strength could be quiet yet undeniable. His training had taught him more than defense. It had taught him patience, discipline, and the power of restraint. At home, his family saw the change. His parents embraced him with pride, recognizing the courage it took not just to defend himself, but to endure until the right moment. His grandfather, with eyes shining, reminded him that his true victory was not in subduing bullies, but in proving that he could not be broken by a system built to diminish him. The schoolyard returned to its rhythm, but something had shifted. Conversations about racism, once avoided, began to surface. Students questioned the cruelty they had witnessed. Some apologized. Others reflected quietly. The boy had not just defended himself, he had sparked reflection in an entire community, and so the story ends not with fists raised in triumph, but with heads bowed in thought. It ends with the reminder that racism thrives in silence, but dignity thrives in resilience. The boy's greatest strike was not physical. It was the strike against prejudice, against indifference, against the idea that cruelty should be tolerated. So ask yourself, when cruelty mocks dignity, when silence enables injustice, where do you stand? Are you with the laughter of the crowd, or with the quiet strength that refuses to break? The man looked up, surprised to be seen. He had kind, weary eyes. Oh, no, thank you. I'm fine. It's just a bit overwhelming in here. Maya gave him a reassuring smile. It can be. Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on your order for you. She noticed he was struggling with the fancy digital menu. The meatloaf is actually really good tonight. Classic, no deconstructing involved. She winked. A genuine smile broke through his anxiety. Meatloaf it is, then. Thank you. It was a 60-second interaction. A tiny island of humanity in a sea of impersonal service. But it was witnessed. From across the room, Brenda's hawk-like eyes narrowed. She saw not kindness, but wasted time. She saw a waitress giving undue attention to a customer who, based on his appearance, would likely leave a meager tip. She muttered something to Kyle, who? What was that, your uncle or something? Meanwhile, Table 7 had to wait 5 minutes for their check. The injustice of it stole her breath. He was being ignored. I was just providing service. Selective service, Brenda corrected, her voice dripping with disdain. We have a specific clientele here, Maya. A certain standard. Your priorities are misaligned. You focus on the wrong things, the wrong people. It creates an imbalance. It makes us look desperate. The coded language was clear. The wrong people were those who didn't look wealthy enough. The imbalance was her perceived favoritism. It was a reprimand designed to humiliate, to reinforce her place at the bottom of the hierarchy. The following shifts were a masterclass in psychological warfare. Brenda began auditing Maya's every move. She would stand with a stopwatch, timing how long it took her to run a credit card. Kyle took joy in assigning her the most grueling cleaning tasks, scrouting the grease traps, deglazing the ovens, jobs that were meant to be shared, all while making snide comments just loud enough for her to hear. Some people just don't get it. You can't teach class. Maya felt the walls closing in. The emotional toll was immense. She started having trouble sleeping, the anxiety a cold knot in her stomach. She'd lie awake, listening to Elijah's soft breathing, terrified of the future. The dream of school, of a better life, was receding like a tide, leaving behind the bleak shore of reality. She was trapped in a system designed to break her spirit, a system that valued conformity over compassion, appearance over authenticity. The tension was a taut wire, vibrating with the promise of a snap. All it needed was one final, cruel push. The push came on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. The lunch rush had been mild, and Maya was meticulously cleaning her section, her movements slow with a deep-seated weariness. Her soul felt bruised. The kind man from the corner table had returned. Today, he looked even more lost, holding a small, malfunctioning tablet. He seemed to be trying to access the restaurant's Wi-Fi for a video call, but the technology was defeating him. He waved timidly at Kyle, who looked directly at him and then pointedly turned away, pretending to be engrossed in a bottle of wine. The rejection was blatant, cruel. The man's shoulders slumped in defeat. Maya's heart ached. She couldn't stand it. She walked over, pushing her own troubles aside. Having some trouble with the Wi-Fi, she asked softly. He looked up, embarrassed. "I'm so sorry to bother you. I have this important call. I just can't seem to." "Don't you worry," she said, her voice a calming balm. "The signal is tricky in this corner. Here, let me help you." She took the tablet, her fingers moving deftly. She logged him into the guest network, reset the connection, and within a minute, the screen flickered to life with a waiting video link. "There you go. All set." The man's gratitude was palpable. "Thank you. Really, thank you so much. You have no idea." It was at that exact moment that Brenda materialized. She had seen the entire exchange. Her face was a mask of cold fury. "Maya," she hissed, her voice low and dangerous. "What did I tell you? My office. Now." This time, there was no pretense of a discussion. The door hadn't even clicked shut before Brenda unleashed her verdict. "That's it. I'm done. I've warned you. I've been more than patient. Your consistent disregard for protocol is a poison in this restaurant." Maya's composure finally shattered. The weeks of humiliation, the fear for her son, the sheer unfairness of it all erupted. "Poison? For helping a customer? What is the protocol, Brenda? To ignore people who need us? To only be kind to those who look like they can tip well? Don't you dare take that tone with me." Brenda snapped. "This isn't about kindness. This is about business. Your business here is finished. You're fired. Clean out your locker and leave. Kyle will escort you out." Fired, the word landed like a physical blow. Maya staggered back, the world tilting on its axis. Visions of Elijah, of Rent, of the inhaler, flashed before her eyes. Tears she could no longer hold back streamed down her face, hot and shameful. Kyle stepped forward, a vile grin spreading across his face. "You should have known your place," he muttered, enjoying his role as the enforcer. "Some people are just meant to serve, and others are meant to lead. Time to go." As Maya was marched through the kitchen, the other staff looked away, too fearful to meet her eye. The humiliation was complete. She was being cast out, treated like a criminal for the crime of compassion. She numbly collected her few belongings from her locker, a spare hair tie, a photo of Elijah. Under Kyle's smug gaze, she was halfway out the back door, into the alley that smelled of rotting garbage, when she saw him. The man from the corner table was standing there, not on a video call, but holding a smartphone, its screen dark. His posture had changed entirely. The nervousness was gone, replaced by a grim, powerful stillness. His kind eyes were now sharp, focused, and burning with a cold fire. He had seen everything. He had heard everything. He looked directly at Kyle, who was still sneering in the doorway. "What's your name, son?" he asked, his voice no longer hesitant, but deep and authoritative. Kyle, confused, puffed out his chest. "Kyle. Shift supervisor. And who the hell are you?" The man ignored him, his gaze shifting to Maya, who stood frozen, her face streaked with tears. He looked at her with an expression not of pity, but of profound respect, and a deep, simmering anger on her behalf. "My name," the man said, his voice cutting through the alley's gloom with the clarity of a bell, "is David Chen. I own this restaurant. And I believe you have just made the biggest mistake of your career." The world stopped. For Maya, for Kyle, for Brenda, who had just stepped into the doorway to enjoy the final scene, time seemed to freeze. David Chen. The reclusive billionaire founder of the Taste of Tomorrow chain, a man known for his hands-off approach and his belief in empowering local management. The man they had all dismissed as a nobody, the undercover boss, had been in their midst all along. And he had just witnessed the true, ugly soul of his establishment. The following morning, a mandatory all-staff meeting was called for 10 a.m., an hour before the restaurant opened. The atmosphere was thick with a nervous, electric tension. Whispers of Maya's firing had spread, mingling with wild, unconfirmed rumors about a mysterious visitor. The staff filed in, avoiding each other's eyes, a crew adrift without their captain, however flawed she may have been. Brenda stood at the front, trying to project her usual aura of control, but a faint tremor in her hands betrayed her. Kyle hovered near her, his bravado replaced by a pale, sickly anxiety. At exactly 10 a.m., the front door opened. David Chen walked in, but he was not alone. Walking beside him, her head held high, was Maya. She wore simple, clean clothes, not a waitress uniform, but a crisp, professional blouse and trousers. The change was seismic. The woman who had been marched out in tears the day before now carried herself with a quiet, unshakable dignity. The confusion in the room was palpable. David did not mince words. He dispensed with pleasantries, his voice resonating through the silent dining room. Yesterday, he began, I sat in that corner. I came here not as your owner, but as a customer. I wanted to see the heart of this place, to understand what makes the taste of tomorrow tick. And I saw its heart very clearly. He paused, letting his gaze sweep over the room, landing finally on Brenda and Kyle, who seemed to shrink under its weight. I saw a heart that was diseased. I saw a management team that valued prejudice over performance, that measured a person's worth by their appearance rather than their character. I saw a system designed to crush kindness and reward cruelty. I saw a talented, dedicated employee, a woman named Maya, fired for the crime of helping me when no one else would. He detailed it all, the coded language, the systemic bullying, the humiliation he witnessed from his hidden vantage point. He spoke not with theatrical rage, but with a deep, profound disappointment that was far more terrifying. Brenda, Kyle, he said, his tone final. Your employment here is terminated. Effective immediately. Security will escort you from the premises. Your actions have betrayed the core values of this company. There is no place for you here. The silence that followed was absolute. The fall of the tyrants was as swift as it was just. As the two were led away, their faces masks of shock and shame, a collective breath seemed to be released in the room. Then David turned to Maya. His expression softened. Maya, he said, his voice now filled with warmth. You showed me what this business should be about. It's not about chrome and glass and deconstructed food. It's about people. It's about dignity. It's about seeing someone who is struggling and offering a hand, not looking the other way. You have more integrity, compassion, and strength in your little finger than the previous management had in their entire beings. He gestured to the now empty space where Brenda had stood. This restaurant needs a new heart. It needs a leader who understands respect, who leads by example, who sees the humanity in every single person who walks through that door, whether they are a customer or an employee. The job of manager is yours, if you want it. The salary is triple what you were making. You have full autonomy to hire, train, and create a culture you can be proud of. The offer hung in the air, a life raft thrown to a drowning woman. For Maya, it was more than a job. It was validation. It was justice. It was the seismic cracking open of a door she thought was permanently welded shut. The tears that welled in her eyes this time were not of despair, but of overwhelming, world-altering relief. She simply nodded, unable to speak, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek, a tear that washed away the grime of injustice. The transformation was not instantaneous, but it was profound. Maya, as manager, dismantled Brenda's toxic system brick by brick. She instituted fair scheduling based on seniority and need, not favoritism. She created a mentoring program, encouraging staff to support one another. She led with a quiet humility that inspired fierce loyalty. The restaurant's atmosphere changed from a cold, stressful pit to a warm, thriving community. Customer satisfaction scores soared, and ironically, so did profits. Kindness, it turned out, was good for business. Weeks later, sitting in her new office, Maya looked out at the dining room. It was the same chrome and glass, but it felt different. It felt like hers. It felt like a place of possibility. Elijah's photo now had a proud place on her desk, next to a new, full prescription for his inhaler. The crushing weight of uncertainty was gone, replaced by the steady hum of purpose. David Chen had not just given a woman a job that day. He had performed surgery on a corrupted system. He had proven that the most dangerous assumption you can make is to judge a person's value by their position or appearance. The real power, the true leadership, often lies hidden in the most unexpected places, in the hearts of those we are taught to overlook. Maya's story is a testament to the fact that integrity is never wasted. But it forces us to ask a difficult question about our own lives. How many Mayas are we walking past every day? How many people do we dismiss, ignore, or underestimate because they don't fit our preconceived notion of what power or potential looks like? The greatest injustice isn't always a loud explosion of hate. Sometimes, it's the quiet, systemic hum of disregard. And the most powerful revolution often begins with a single, quiet act of decency, witnessed by a pair of eyes that were truly willing to see.